Cool, I think we can start now. So welcome everyone for this IAU Online Discourse series. This is the 13th event we are organizing. So my name is Stefania. I'm a postdoc at Swinburne University in Melbourne in Australia. And I'm a member of the organizing committee for the junior members executive committee.
Hi everyone, I am Camilla Danielski and I work as a postdoc at the Instituto de Astrofísica de Andalucía in Spain, and I'm a member of the Junior Member Executive Committee. So welcome all for this talk.
So welcome again. So before we start off, I would like to remind all the junior members that we are looking for a new set of leaders to lead the junior membership for the next 3 years. The IAU business meetings will happen in August this year. So we need to have a new set of organizing committee members elected by then. So the call is open for applications to be in the committee, which is the deadline is this Friday. So I encourage you to think about applying for this to join the IAU Junior Member Organizing Committee. And if you have any questions, you can definitely email us or pop something on the chat and we can follow up with you later about this as well. So regarding the series, we have about a 30-minute talk and then we will have questions afterwards. You can ask your questions in the Q&A tab in Zoom, or you can pop it in YouTube chat if you're following it on YouTube. If we run out of time at the end, and we cannot answer all the questions, we will try to answer the questions in writing, and the appropriate links will be posted on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and see what are the links and follow up in these questions as well. So without further ado, maybe Camilla, do you want to take over?
Yes, sure. So today we are hosting Stefania Giodini from the Red Cross. Stefania began her career in astrophysics at University of Milano Bicocca, and then she moved to the Max Planck Institute and she obtained her PhD in astrophysics. She then was a research assistant at the Leiden University for a couple of years, and then she changed career, becoming a program manager for the Robotics program. She is now the team lead for data and digital team at the Netherlands Red Cross, and her team shapes the future of humanitarian aid by converting data into understanding, putting it into the hands of aid workers, decision makers, and people affected so that they can better prepare for and cope with disaster and crisis. So Stefania, I think you can take over, and we are so excited to have like such a kind of career diversity here, and like looking forward to your talk.
Great, thank you Camilla, thank you Temia. I'm so glad to be here, always happy to talk to astrophysicists and astronomers since I was one of you. Today I will talk about how to be an astrophysicist with impact outside the university. Even if you're outside the university, you don't have to stop being an astrophysicist. We also exist out there. We just call ourselves different names, but actually we use all the skills. So my name is Stefania Giodini. I'm the team lead at the 510 data team, which is the data team of the Netherlands Red Cross. I'm based in The Hague, and thanks to this virtual possibility now everywhere, globally. Camilla already gave me kind of an introduction for my CV, but what I like to do is to tell with my CV, because you can see from my career, basically where my kind of life went, what the story I wanted to tell was. So I like to show this. As Camilla said, I started in Italy. I'm a physicist. I specialized in astrophysics, and I jumped on to Max Planck, and I got my PhD in astrophysics. My field was cosmology, galaxy clusters. So quite a normal astrophysics career, let's say. I then moved on to my first postdoc, again cosmology, Leiden Observatory until 2012. And then something happened. I wanted to see something more out there. I also wanted to add a reason to remain in the Netherlands. So I jumped out of the academic environment and I started, not as a program manager, actually, you cannot just start as a program manager from straight out of university. I was hired as a research scientist. in underwater robotics at TNO, which is the applied physics lab of the Netherlands. Then I continued my career. I took leadership and management courses. Then I could do project management and then finally program management, always for robotics. iBotics was a big, large program still ongoing on innovation in robotics for a number of fields at TNO. And then the big jump. So once that I was out of the academic world, I just had all the possibilities in front of me. And at some point, I saw this very strange advertisement for the data team of the Netherlands Red Cross. It basically sounded to me like the Netherlands Red Cross wants to hire a group of nerds, but they don't know how to deal with it. Well, that was basically true. They needed one of us to give them. So my motivation letter sounded something like, "Hi, this is really interesting what you're trying to do. Can I come for a chat?" They were searching for somebody that was familiar with the satellite images, and of course was all written not in astrophysics term, right? Like data and modeling, but also could handle a team. I had my program management experience, could handle finances for projects, could handle human resources. I had to do some learning there, but I was fitting the profile. So I jumped over to this job, team lead for the 510 data team. That was 2017. That's what I'm still doing. In the last 2 years, then I had also a new career step that was to be seconded as an advisor to the Climate Center of the Red Cross, Red Crescent Societies. This is an international team dedicated to climate science for adaptation and mitigation to climate-related disasters. And is located virtually everywhere globally, but with the headquarters in the Netherlands and located under the International Federation of the Red Cross in Geneva as a reference center. And so right now I have these 2 titles, as a team lead, as an advisor, and I'm going to tell you why that is. This is a bit my life. Why did I do this? It sounds a bit crazy, and some people look at my CV and call it a long list of tech hobbies. Well, that's probably true, but that's what I wanted to do. So I started with astrophysics. Why? Because I wanted to be an astrophysicist since I was 11. You know, I was reading about stars and galaxies. I loved math and physics, so I really wanted to do that, and I built up to that. I was really happy when I was doing it because it was all the science and technology that I wanted. It was really cool intellectually. I knew why I was doing it. I was feeling purposeful and like adding to the discourse and trying to lead certain topics. So trying to go where nowhere else has gone. My, let's say, was the impact on society, in the sense that at that time, and I was very young, I was doing my master and my PhD. So I had the feeling that all my work was going into a paper, and then, so it didn't have much impact. So I was curious. I wanted to see something else out there. That's when I looked outside and I decided to do something more practical. So it was still technologically exciting. It was robotics, underwater robotics, but I could actually see the results being used. I was coding on robots, going on ships to make experiments and trying them out at sea. The impact was clear. I was missing a bit the purpose because my main clients were like defense and oil companies, and that was kind of a gray area for me at some point. So I decided to look for something else, but I wanted to keep the science and technology coolness, and I wanted to keep the impact. I just was searching for a purpose. When I looked at the Red Cross work, well, I can tell you now I know why I'm waking up every morning and doing my job. When the Red Cross mission is about mitigating suffering from disaster and loss of life, and actually, I discovered that with the skill that I learned during astrophysics, I could bring a lot of impact there. How astrophysics translate into the humanitarian discourse is under the umbrella of using data for taking informed decisions during disasters and crises. And this is what my team does, the 510 data team at the Netherlands Red Cross. I am team lead, so I deal with a lot of management tasks, but of course I'm a nerd, so I want to keep connected to content, especially something that is very close to my heart, which is climate science. And that's why, that's a nice thing when you're managing a team, you can decide, you can carve time for yourself to do something else. That's where my advisory role with the Climate Center came up. So I do more scientific type of work with them. So let's just give you an overview. Now, this is just to show you, I was really one of you. So this is, I think, my first and most cited paper. I was doing stellar and total baryon mass fraction in groups and clusters of galaxies. This is the picture from my PhD at MP when I got my PhD. This is Alexis Finogenov, Hans Beringer, they were my supervisors. Myself, this was last year in Chile. I was part of the Cosmos collaboration, so really normal astrophysicist and nothing strange. This was my robotics here. This is the work that I was doing. I told you I was on ships, trying out a code that we were testing on these underwater robots. They look like big cigars. This was some of the projects that we were doing. This is why actually they hired me at the beginning, because as a physicist and astrophysicist, I can do image processing. So these are sonar images. And this is the logo of my team now, the 510 data team at the Netherlands Red Cross. So what are we doing? This was one of my first, let's say, assignments at the Red Cross. I started and I was learning into managing a team. At that point, we were, I think, like 3-4 people with some volunteers, so a total of less of 20 people. In 2017, in September, I'm based in the Netherlands, and the Irma hurricane happened. The Irma hurricane is a huge hurricane, super hurricane actually, that hit the Dutch territories in the Caribbean. So this is St. Martin, Siba, and St. Eustatius. And what happened is that the island of St. Martin was basically flattened. My team helped out, and we didn't know what to do actually, so we kind of invented it at the moment. One thing that was very difficult for them to do was to understand what is being damaged and what will be the situation, and even better to know it before the typhoon was actually making landfall. So we were able to start mapping the whole island with volunteers few days before the typhoon. With the typhoon forecasting, it is possible to know when a typhoon is coming before it's actually making landfall. And when the typhoon happened, we were able to support the damage assessment. Actually, to put on this map with the building that we already mapped, to basically just classify them to see which one have been damaged. This seems like very simple information, but it's actually very difficult to have during a real emergency response. First of all, it's very difficult to know where the people are living, especially if you are working in settings where, well, Google is not going to map the whole world. So St. Martin was, for example, very poorly mapped. You rarely have individual buildings on a map. There are projects like OpenStreetMap and the humanitarian of projects that are mapping, let's say, development countries. But then you need somebody that puts all the information together. That's what my team does. Damage assessment, just putting all the relevant information on a map, is not something that it's very often done, let's say, in a humanitarian organization. So you need somebody that knows how to do it, that can handle data, and that's what my team did. The picture that you see here, this is myself in 2017, and this is Yannis, now he's a software developer in my team. This is Jonat, community engagement advisor. And what I'm doing here is I'm showing basically the map that we produced. This is actually, most of my work is explaining, the outcome of some technical work that we did. This is the Netherlands Red Cross team response team. This is the operation room for the Caribbean operation. This map actually was sent on together with the logistic teams in St. Martin and was afterwards hanging in the St. Martin branch to lead the response. This is the type of work that we started doing, creating this kind of data product. Where did we go from there? Well, that was 2017. 2017, I said more or less 20 people working. 2018, we doubled that. 2020, at the moment, in 2021, we are 5 core staff within the Netherlands Red Cross, so coordinating the team. 22 project staff. This is hired people from the Netherlands Red Cross that they work on our projects. 85 professional volunteer. What is a professional volunteer? So this is the Red Cross. So we have the privilege of being able of working with volunteers. And as the data team, we decided we will call for professional volunteers. So people that already have the skills of working with data, satellite images, analysis, and we just ask them to donate to us 1 or 2 days of their work. Some people are doing this on a weekly basis. Some people are doing this less regularly. Some people, they do it in sprints, like for example, 2 weeks, and they do something, and then they go away. But basically, we are able to work with this professional volunteer just to do a regular task doing our work. We do work with a lot of universities. The university has, for example, master students, but we offer the use case for research. At the moment, we have 19 master students working with us in collaboration with other universities. We do also create local data teams. So one of our strategic points is really to create data capacity also in national society of the Red Cross. The Red Cross has one national society in each of 192 countries. So we do actually coach and create data specialists in each of these national society. At the moment, we have a connection with 20 data teams. Some of them we created ourselves during our programs, and some of them they were created with opportunity during emergency response. For example, during the COVID response. I will talk about that later. So what do we do concretely? We do a lot of different type of work, but we classify it across 4 main categories. So we help out with digital risk assessment. When you are trying to create a intervention that helps mitigating suffering, you need to know where to target it. Especially the Red Cross has a mission to support the most vulnerable people. How do you know where the most vulnerable people are? You need to know where are the riskful area, where is the risk. This is a type of analysis that we call digital risk assessment. Basically, we evaluate a number of risk indicators and we analyze the data underlying these indicators and we put it on a map so that you can see which area is most at risk, so where the intervention should be targeted. We do a lot of work with predictive impact analytics. This is especially important when you're trying to forecast the impact of an upcoming disaster. Under this umbrella, we make all the work that we call impact-based forecasting. This is a new way of forecasting that is not about telling what the weather will be, but what the weather will do. So not tomorrow is raining, but tomorrow is raining and 100 houses will be flooded in this district. This is something that we support a lot. The Red Cross with. We do emergency data support. So when a disaster happens, there is a good chance that we are already in contact with the national society of that country. And then we offer emergency data support. So what we do is that basically we create any kind of map or data product that they need to make a more efficient response. The 4th category is direct digital aid. Direct digital aid is about cash transfers. So the humanitarian world now has found this new modality of giving aid. So instead of, for example, distributing a food parcel, it's about giving cash to the affected population so that they can meet their need on their own, let's say, need basis. So nobody best than the affected person know what is the priority for themselves. But then there is the whole problem of how do you transfer cash in a safe way, and specifically since a bank transfer, a cash transfer, has a lot of data in it, personal data of the person affected. How do you protect that? How do you make that process data responsible? This is what our projects in this area are doing, basically applying data responsibility to direct digital aid. So having products that give privacy by design. I can give some example. If you want to know a lot of details, just go to our website, www.510.global. I link it here. And now I will give you some example for each of the category. So damage assessment, I am very lucky because I have a lot of very recent examples. Recently, my team has been involved in a worldwide COVID response. So when COVID started, we were sponsored by Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Netherlands support 20 national society that they needed support in data and digital product with a kind of a blanket offer, in the sense that whatever was needed, we will do. While that was happening, what happens is that the COVID crisis is compounding with everything else that is happening. Normal disasters are happening anyway. So during the COVID response, we didn't only do COVID-specific product, but we also supported national society that were dealing with the disaster and the COVID response at the same time. One of these national society was Lebanese Red Cross. If you well remember, last year there has been a huge blast in Beirut. A kind of warehouse exploded, and there have been a lot of damage. You see here. This is where we applied our knowledge of damage assessment. It was very interesting because we could apply both automatic damage assessment on satellite images, so machine learning type of technique, but also image reconstruction from images of the side of the building from the Mapillary database. If you want to read more about this, there is a blog post on it. This is instead work from the COVID program for COVID. So this is, for example, a dashboard with a lot of data in it. This is digital risk assessment in Syria. These are the areas that are most at risk, vulnerable when considering the COVID risk. This kind of dashboard has been used, for example, to support the operations, so decide where to put extra food distribution point and support the population that was also under restriction, so at the lack of access to most basic services. If you want to read more about that, again, there is a blog post here. This is the digital aid support. This has been very useful during the COVID response because many countries, they have had to deal with the vulnerable population that was already vulnerable before the COVID response, and then the COVID response added vulnerability to them or impeded the access to certain services. So one solution that has been put in place in many countries has been cash support. So people could not work or people could not get access to work. So support basically also new vulnerability. Our digital aid support, we have a program that is called One-to-One. This is the privacy by design system. And this is actually currently operational in the Netherlands, supporting the voucher distribution for food for very vulnerable groups, like, for example, undocumented migrants. And here you can see basically one example of registration to our system. And here instead on the right, this is a very nice scene from a mother and a daughter in St. Martin. What they are showing here is a digital voucher, again, also for this food distribution. And this is also from the digital system that we have set up in St. Martin, remotely working with the team there. And actually, the biggest success here is that thanks to the digital system, we could expand enormously the reach of this program, in the sense that we call it a success when we can actually help more people. This is work that is very close to my heart. This is impact-based forecasting. This is where we work with predictive model to predict the impact of a disaster. The maps that you see here, they are automatically produced from our system, and they are for the Philippines. They start being produced when there is a impactful typhoon happening, and they can start being released 120 hours before landfall of the typhoon. This type of window of opportunity gives to the national society the opportunity of doing what we call early actions. This is, for example, strengthening houses, distribution of food, evacuation of livestock. So just doing some pre-agreed activities that will help mitigating the impact of the disaster. This type of maps, they have been activated already in 6 cases, and early actions have been activated in some of these cases. You can read more on our website about this. This was the activation for Typhoon Kamui, for example. More work that we do in terms of impact-based forecasting. This is a dashboard as part of one of our main products called the IBF portal. IBF is impact-based forecasting. It's basically a one-stop shop for all the information that disaster managers they need to take decision during an anticipatory action. What you see here is a flood. This is Uganda, the district of Butaleja, and Uganda Red Cross can basically see here all the information they need in terms of where the Red Cross branch is, what is the flood extent, population affected, also the COVID risk, for example, in this case. They can disaggregate for a vulnerable situation, vulnerable population, and here they have a checklist of which actions should be conducted for each district. So this is one of the main products that now we are rolling out to national society to support action in anticipation of a disaster. The forecast for a flood is coming in directly from a global forecasting system called GLOFAS. This is done not only with the national society, but also with the Met agency in the country and governmental stakeholders. Okay, so now I talked a lot about myself and what we are doing, but now I would like to talk a bit about you, because I'm giving this talk because some of you may be interested actually in either working outside the university, but still being a bit connected with astrophysics and having impact on society, you know, all the reasons you may have to be listening to this talk. So what I will want to spend the rest of my time is just asking you a couple of questions and giving you some insights, something that I learned, and I hope we are still fine with time. So the first question that I would like to ask you, and I don't know if I can see the chat here, so I know that you cannot talk to me, but you can write in the chat. And in the meantime, I will ask the question directly to our organizers, so Camilla and Temia, to keep this a bit interactive. And the first question for you is, why should somebody hire you? Somebody outside the university. Where do you think you will be hired? What is the skill that you think will be most transferable?
It's actually very, very interesting. So Guillaume is saying programming. Guillaume,
programming, yes.
Maïsa Elaizi is saying intelligence. Then we have Alexis Hasman, data literacies and knowledge. Patir Pyank, sorry guys, if I'm not pronouncing your name like correctly, I'm trying my best, right? So being a physicist, I can quickly adjust to new tools and self-learn new skills.
Great.
You can interact, like stop me if you want, like whenever, right? I keep like reading them.
I will keep on listening forever, but I think for the sake of time, I'm gonna show you like my hints. So this is great insight, because what I hear is a lot on the technical side, and then somebody said, I can quickly adjust. Well, actually, that's a competency that's very valuable. Okay, so now why would I hire you? Let's give some insight. So at the moment, because I'm leading a team, I also deal with HR. So I'm very often in hiring committees, not only of my team actually, but also of other teams. I had to learn actually what to look out for. And if I would have had to ask this question to myself, like in 2012 or in 2010, I have to say I would have answered like you, that what you said. But actually, when somebody is going to interview you from the world out there, is going to look for this thing. First of all, independence and being result-oriented, which means that you can be left alone and deliver high-quality work. You can, because you did that your whole life. A paper is very high-quality work. You have to pass a peer review. You have to do it basically by yourself. Your PhD, any small assignment that you have in astrophysics is high-quality work that you need to deliver by yourself. You are able to do that. That's something that an interview committee is going to spot out in you. It's going to search in you. Two, what one of our audience said, versatility. You can cover a broad range of technical work. In HR terms, this is called learning agility. You can learn very fast. I changed the job every 5 years, and I could learn all of it, basically during the first 1 or 2 years. So this is something that it's really valuable, what you have. 3, it's not for everybody, but especially if you have a PhD, what an interview committee is gonna search on you if you have potential leadership. Can you coordinate task others? Can you coach? Can you grow? This is because if you are being hired, especially within a company that has a growth program, they don't want you to stay there at the same level forever. They will see if you can grow up. In my team, I need always somebody that can do the work, but can also coordinate some things. And can be small things or large things, depending on who you are and what do you want to do. But, this is something, it's a valuable skill. You can do it. You coach students. You conduct large projects. Sometimes I meet PhDs that are conducting EU programs, and I have like a program manager to do that. So skills that you may already have there. You are resilient to stress, and you can deal with a stressful situation. This is something that definitely you can do. I mean, you've done a PhD. That's definitely a stressful situation every day of your life. So you're a fit within the team dynamic. This is a really tricky one, but every interviewer is going to have one person there that is only going to spot if you can work within their team. So do your homework. Try to get in contact before. Try to look who is the team, what they are searching for. Sometimes I saw teams hiring not the best candidate in technical skills, but somebody that would fit within the team, be very social, be a better team worker. So just spot for what they are searching for and see if you can be the type of team member, and if you want, and if you can highlight that in the interview, you are fit within the team. And afterwards, after all these things, flag, there is your sciencey knowledge, which is basically everything that you have already listed in your technical competencies. I can tell you, if you're getting to the first interview, it's because they already looked at that and they looked at, okay, yeah, I know you can do this tech stuff. Programming is very valuable, though remember that there are people that have started programming when they were 15 out there. And by when they are 25, they've not done the university either, but they're really good programmers. So you will not be the best programmer out there probably, unless of course you are really into that and you took specific courses. But when you land into an interview, if you really put all the weight on that, be sure that you're one of the best out of the university, because I have pretty senior software development. They have not even stepped into the university. statistics it's your valuable skill. Nobody else there, maybe the mathematicians, they know statistics like you do. So that's something that you can leverage on. And the ability to spot problems. Like, for example, something that my team likes of me is that if I read something that they have written and there is like a really weird average of the data points, I'm like, are you sure you know that this is a Gaussian distribution? Like, have you checked the distribution of the points? Like, I have not even read what they were trying to do. I was just looking at the plot. So this is something that all of you can do because you are used to spot those type of problems, you know, in every talk, in every paper that you write. So that's very, very valuable. Like back of the envelope calculation, like a fast grasp of what are the technical problems out there. Everything that's still valuable, of course, that you listed. I will tell you more about that, about the specialistic skill knowledge. Okay. Next question, why would not somebody else hire you? Why will you not be chosen? Why do you think that people will not hire you? Let's just take a couple of questions, a couple of answers.
This is the tricky one because no one is writing anything.
Camilla, why should I not hire you?
Well, let's start reading from the chat, right? Like, so we have not the best programmer, lack of work experience outside academia, skill set is too popular. So meaning competition is high.
Competition is high, so you have to really leverage your strong point, though you have a lot of strong points if you know where to find them. So this is my insight. This is why I don't hire somebody. So have I talked about independency? Independency means, you know, that you can deliver on your own. But for example, if I see that somebody cannot work in a team, for example, has always worked by themselves, please value collaborations. I know it not be within your meters of judgment in astrophysicist, always you are valued when you have your paper alone or you have less co-authors. Actually, I value if you can work within a team. Not only me, also other people that I've seen hiring. I don't want somebody that will run away with the task and sit behind the computer for months, not your PhD anymore, or that cannot cut corners. At some point, you know, we have to decide when the work is good enough. Maybe not perfect, so if you're very detail-oriented, you have to deal with that. The very specific skills. So he or she cannot do, and now I say something, Angular programming. Yes, but I can do programming. Yeah, but I'm searching for an Angular programmer. Yeah, okay. There are two answers to that one. One, probably you are not applying for the right position, because if they really search for a pencil beam skill, probably there are already 100 people out there that have only done that since they were 15. So if you really want to do something in with a specific skill, again, be sure you're one of the best out there. Online courses, extra courses, experience, volunteer, anything. But if already you see that you're getting thrown out because of a very specific skill, well, probably not the right job application for you. You can always say, I have a large learning agility. I will learn it in the first month. Try it. I mean, I have hired people on that basis because I really saw, okay, this person really can learn it. Sometimes you are really tight with your budget or you really want something done yesterday and you will not hire that person. Yes, if you seem you also only want to do your own job and not take up a bit more responsibility or something else. This is about the growth agility. So astrophysics is a very cushy type of job in the sense that you can basically keep on doing the same thing as you were doing in your PhD over and over your postdoc, over your research. I see professors, they're still doing things that looks like a PhD. So that's not the world out there. You have to grow. And sometimes can be grow in your technical field. So you can say, hey, I don't want to manage anything, but I'm getting better and better. And at some point, I'm the expert in this and I'm coaching others on this. Great. But if you seem like you cannot do that, that's something that they search for. Stressful situation. So we are the best at stressful situation, but I myself, I was not the best at asking for help. So this is something that in the company world, like outside the university, is called the burnout alert. Your employer is searching for signs that if I put you under stress, you will just continue working until you burn out. Like, don't do that. The answer to, so for example, I ask this question, what will we see in Camilla if she's in a situation, it's in a very stressful situation? What do we see? And the right answer to that, there is a right answer, so it's a tip, that is, well, I will see that is very stressful, that is over what I can do, so I will contact your line manager, somebody else, and ask for help. I can see if I can delegate something. I can see if I can push back on a deadline. Don't just work, because then you are at very high risk of burnout. A lot of work, high responsibility. Don't do that. That's very valuable out there. If you're not a fit within the team dynamic, this is something that, do your homework, see which type of work employee they're trying to search for. It's a very social team, so they value somebody, that will also join the social events. Maybe you're not the most social person, maybe not the fit for you. Just check on that. And the other thing is be humble. Having unrealistic expectation, it's not very valuable. So you are just out of university, and you may say, well, but I'm at my third postdoc. Yes, when you go out there, you're just out of university. So you will not be immediately in a management position or in a very high position, or you can be lucky. So you have probably to do some groundwork. Like, for example, when Camilla said that she, from university to program manager, no, that didn't happen. That took 5 years. But so I started like as a scientist, junior scientist, medium scientist, and then. So just be humble and see where you can add value. It will be fast growth for you. I mean, because we have that learning agility. So there is hope out there. Just be humble and patient at the beginning. They will always see you as overqualified. So again, be humble, because actually you are missing a lot of you. In the first 5 years, you will learn so much outside there. Afterwards, you will be a unicorn, like having the all-around thing, but it will take some time. So these are my tips. Last thing I want to show you is that this I learned myself, actually. There is probably at least one, two of you, because many people look at my story and they say, how does it fit me? Well, I'm a very specific type of person. So, for example, I am not a super specialist. I like to have a broad knowledge. I'm more what outside there is called the generalist. I did astrophysics, I did robotics. Now I'm doing humanitarian aid. It's always data, is always like science and tech, but I span. What will be next? Who knows? There are people that really like to specialize on one thing. Different type of you. So look at yourself very honestly. Which type of person am I? Because then you can start seeing also which type of roles may fit you. Specialist roles are, for example, the scientist out in the industry. You may have to go through a really steep learning path of learning a new type of technology or science. But then there is a path out there for you also. If you're very detail-oriented, for example, laser focus on a topic, don't give me anything else that is not science. Probably you are a specialist. If you're more like me, I like to work in big teams. I don't care if I'm not only the one doing the science, somebody else is doing it, but I'm still involved. I like to take care of the process. That's why I'm a manager also. I like to switch between topics. So these kind of profiles opens your way towards like the project management, program management, management, team lead, etc. More type of work. If you're a specialist, look also at advisory roles, being a very specialized consultant for somebody. That's also very valuable. And those people also earn quite some money. So this is just a bit my view at the moment, because what I learned in all these years when I see, a person coming from the university. So it doesn't have to be true. It's just my personal take I wanted to show you. So there is a very good chance that many of you are in between. Like at the beginning, I was really in between these two things. I didn't know what to choose. I felt a failure when I was, moving from specialist more towards management role. That's really not, it's not the way of looking at it. I mean, I learned now it's actually okay to do all of it. You're always using all your skills in doing any of this. At some point, the world out there, may lead you to choose for one, simply because the career paths are very different. Or not, because, for example, when I was becoming a manager, then at some point I decided to second myself to a scientific organization like the Climate Center so that I could do more specialist type of work. So it's just all scenarios that can happen to you. My tip is get out of your comfort zone. Just don't do only things that are very comfortable for you, because sometimes you learn from the experience, but always stay true to yourself. So don't try to become a person that you are not. Just look very well at yourself and say, okay, which type of work will I be happy doing? My last tips is where to look when you look for impact. So you are an astrophysicist right now. You want to do something that has an impact on society. Think out of the box. The jobs that are on LinkedIn are not the only one that they exist. A job is not something that exists only within a company. And because you're an astrophysicist with a PhD in physics, astrophysics, astronomy, etc., doesn't mean you have to work for a tech company or for a science-oriented organization. Actually, I see now, because I work for the Red Cross, it's nothing to do with science, that there are a lot of companies that are working in social innovation, social impact, actually, that they are open now for innovation and more science and data-driven type of work. So look at those. Always look for somebody that seems open to innovation. Remember, you can always make a cold call and actually try to see if they are thinking of moving in a certain direction, if they can consider your CV. Don't be scared that there may be only one of you, in the sense that if you go for a social company, sometimes you will not find other astrophysicists there. You may be surrounded by people working in international law, like, for example, I was at the beginning. Now I lead a team of nerds. So it's okay to be like the first ones. Think further and learn from the tech sectors. I have a lot of friends that they had their own idea and they were working like in more engineering or like software development. They said, okay, I don't see my job out there. I will just create my own company. They get the seed funding to do something that has societal impact. That's something actually really interesting. You can also look for more traditional tech companies with a societal impact. Or you can look for tech companies that do not have a societal impact and try to be the one that drives change there. Asterisks there. We will not do it on day one, but try to get on one of the management positions and do it. Please, please drive that change. I will try to do it myself. So the other option that sometimes I didn't think about, for example, is that you can stay where you are in a university and become an advisor or get a good collaboration with an institution that is actually doing societal change. For example, we are working with a lot of university. You can be part of the discourse. You can I see a lot of university being invited in, let's say, societal impact type of discourse, climate change. I mean, astronomy is a straightforward one, to give information about climate change. And I can tell you more about that. Your job profile, you may have to create it yourself. Like my CV, that was like a long list of tech hobbies. That's something I created myself. My job was basically not existing, the job that I have right now. So don't be scared. I mean, you have to be humble and patient, but you can create your own job profile. And at some point, you can get to the point that you can call up a company that has, for example, a job out for some type of work you are not fitting for, but you could possibly call them and say, in my opinion, what you really need is, and that's your job profile. So be creative. storytell with your CV. That's something very important. Get to the point that you pull up your CV and you can tell a story with it, why you have done certain things, what have you learned with each of the steps. That's what I showed you at the beginning of this presentation. I think I will leave it here. There is still a bit of time for discussion, hopefully. And yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Back to you, Camilla.
Well, I mean, like, this was absolutely brilliant. Like, you blew my mind. I'm very happy, and like the way you told it is just really, really inspiring. So, okay, right. I'm just still a bit. All right, I'm gonna begin like asking you a couple of questions. Thank you so much again. Okay, and obviously, guys, like, you can like write your questions in the Q&A section. And please do so we can help like keep the track and like answer on live at the moment now, or also later on by email. But okay, let's begin. If someone asks you why is astrophysics important to society, how would you answer?
Okay, I have two answers to that. And so first is like the idealistic one, right? You know, astrophysics is basically the concretization of what humanity is striving for, you know, the new frontier, always learning something. With astrophysics not there, everything will be very boring, actually, you know, if you cannot look at the stars and ask yourself what is there. So it's really like, you know, society needs to know that there is something else to look for, to get a bit of perspective. That is like, you know, the idealistic answer. Two is the very practical answer. You're gathering a lot of very clever people in one place and giving them extremely good technical skills. Society will definitely, you know, get some impact out of that. I can give a very straight example. The director of the Climate Center of the Red Cross is an astrophysicist. So the whole mitigation and adaptation, he speaks at the UN right now. So the whole direction of the Red Cross on mitigation and adaptation has been given by an astrophysicist. So you do have societal impacts when you are inside the university, just looking further, and when you're outside the university.
Cool, thanks. There's also a question online. Shall I read it out? It's from Hans. He's asking, what hints do you have to get acquainted with language of other disciplines?
That's a very good one. So first of all, you have to start speaking with people. When I started, like in 2012, just speaking with the friends that they were you know, asking me, what are you doing? I quickly realized that I was talking my own vocabulary and lingo. Nobody out there knows what redshift is or galaxy cluster feedback, or, you know, forget about that. Already when I had to write my first CV, you know, all the imaging, spectroscopy, signal processing, that's what is called in engineering. After that, you know, it became even, you know, familiarity with satellite images, something like that. So you really need to speak with people. You need to read, you know, look at conferences online from other fields. Talk with friends that they work already outside of the academia. Try to explain to them what you are doing, and you will already see that they will change your language. Do you mean that? Do you mean that? Like, so just try to explain something like what you are doing to somebody else. Yeah, you can take courses, of course, on something that is very close to you, maybe like, for example, signal processing, like image, how they talk about it in other fields. A very easy one for you is, for example, take your satellites and turn them down to Earth. Look at the ESA courses on Earth observation science. Those are courses that normally are not followed by astrophysicists, but the people that are giving and using the courses are like more engineers, hydrologists, climate scientists. Already, you know, you see how the language is different there. So there are a lot of ways, but mostly it's like talk to people that are not in the university. Just get out of your comfort zone.
So the next question, it's from Ansi Anna John, and I think it's quite important question, to be honest. And she's asking, did you ever suffer from imposter syndrome?
Every day. Yes. So the fact is that the good realization is that everybody else does too. Imposter syndrome, I feel it, for example, when I'm like, who am I to talk about this? Or for example, when I started and really I had to convince people I could do something. Well, first of all, one good way of handling it is, you don't oversell yourself. Be very honest and vulnerable to the fact that, hey, it's the first time I do this, so I will just try. But I think, I can give some extra insights or some added value. So find out exactly what is your added value. And be very humble and very honest. Like, for example, when, I may not be the best at this, but I'm going to try. Because there is a reason if they gave you the job. Somebody else has seen something in you that maybe it's not like, you have the best technical skills out there, but you can get to actually give some new insight. When I started with the Climate Center, I knew nothing about climate science. So I've been like learning. They have really top climate scientists there, and I'm always learning from them. But for example, I can, look at statistics better than I do, or I have now a lot of insight on how to handle data, vulnerability data, for example, that together with climate information gives the impact on the population. So where is your added value? And yes, imposter syndrome, always.
Maybe the final question, because we are coming on to time now. And it's about like how you can get involved. So like, at least when I was in Leiden, I remember like there was quite a few of my friends who went to work for Red Cross voluntary once a week. But what if you're not in another city or another country? Does Red Cross, or do you have any other voluntary organizations that might be looking for such opportunities?
In the Netherlands, please reach out www.510.global. So we are always searching for new volunteers. I think Monica, that came from Leiden University, she's now working for one of the UN organizations. So like you guys already have impact. Other organization, okay, Red Cross is in basically every country in the world. So please reach out to your local Red Cross organization. They are now undergoing a digital transformation process. So they're basically starting using data, all of them, it's in their strategy. So if you reach out to the local Red Cross and say, hey, I'm an astrophysicist, I would like to help out or volunteer, or look if there are possibilities in working with data, I can be like 80% sure that they will be interested, at least in having you volunteering. So Spanish Red Cross, for example, Camila, you in Spain, they have a large a part of their work in information management. That is another way of calling the data work. So information, spot out for information management, data, and tell them that you know that they are having a strategy for digital transformation, that they will be impressed by that. Red Cross, other organizations, many other organizations, now they realize that they have to work with data. MSF, Doctors Without Borders, they are hiring, for example, now data specialists. UN organization, they have predictive impact analytics team in Geneva and in The Hague. UN has also a volunteering program. So really look out for this kind of initiative, and this is within the humanitarian and development work. Private companies, they do activities within their corporate social responsibility. So you may start working with a bank and then end up ask for their corporate social responsibility program. And they may have projects for you within that have a societal impact. For example, I know Rabobank does it. We work with Philips, for example. They have they volunteer for our digital cash aid program.
That's a lot of opportunities. I know I said it's the last questions. Would you have 5 extra minutes, because we have a couple of interesting questions, and if you don't mind, I can quickly answer them. Cool, nice. The next one, maybe I'll read it out because I'm talking already. Could you please elaborate a bit on storytell with your CV? So CVs in academia tend to be very detailed and long. So it could be boring for people in industry, right? So
they will trash it actually in the first line HR, in the sense that when you send it to a company, they have normally somebody at HR that is not trained in any technical, that just looks at the CV if it looks good. And if you send a 5 pages CV with full of terms that nobody understands, it's automatically in the trash. So write a very short CV, 1 page. You need to, tell it to your mother and needs to understand it, because the first person that will read it will not be technically trained. They may search for specific keywords that you will be able to see in the job application, in the call for the job. No details, like for example, like I think all the I can share. You can look up in LinkedIn my CV. So there is really little detail, and I keep on shortening every time that I add something. Look also not only at your technical skill, they're also searching for soft skills. So everything that I say, like versatility, result-orientedness, all these kind of things. Talk also about how you work within a team. So in a team, I take this role, for example. Give examples. If you have achievements, something that you are particularly proud of, give a couple of examples. Like, for example, I finalized this project or this assignment, and this was, highlighted or was used to do something that has had some impact. Please talk about it. Temia, just before say that, hey, the elections for the IAU executive team that's something that I would highlight if one of you does that. I'm sorry, but if I look at 10 astrophysicist CV and one had some organizational type of more, managing something, that is a highlight for me, for example. So please try to do something like that, because it sounds actually interesting to develop some extra organizational skills. But in general, CV, 1 page. On top of your CV, put a little profile, like, this is me. Like, and there you speak about the role that you like to take into a team, or what your experience in general is, what your aspirations are. Just a little, 2 lines of text. It also, your employer also checks that you can write.
Okay. 1 page. It's really tough to fit everything in 1 page.
Yes, but your PhD is 1 line. Your postdoc is 1 line.
Yeah, sure. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's take the last one. How do you manage your network, information sources, interesting opportunities, and so on?
Okay, I have to ask a clarification. Is about how do I keeping my own network? Like, how do I find my next job, for example? Is that the answer?
I guess. I don't know if Han can explain a bit, like, write down.
Like, I can start answering to that, and then tell me if there is something very different in the chat. So, for example, I got all my jobs just by talking with people, in the sense that, for example, this job advertisement that I saw for the Red Cross, I just sent an email. I didn't send in an application. First, I just asked, okay, can we chat about it? Now that I am in a specific environment, like, for example, if I want to reach out for a next job, I just talk to people to see what opportunities are there. Try to have an idea for yourself of which kind of job you want, and just spot out if there is some collaborators, partner, for example, that has that kind of opportunity coming up. Work with some 6 months, 1 year of advance. So it will not be immediate. Okay, somebody may be lucky, you may be lucky, and somebody's searching somebody exactly at that point. Keep your contact fresh. So have catch-ups with people. How are you doing? People that you like and they get an interesting job in another company, call them up. How are you doing? That's something very, very interesting. For example, I am always very happy when somebody leaves my team to go somewhere else in the organization. For example, as somebody that leaves my team and now works with UN, I have a new contact in the UN. Somebody that, so just reach out to your friends and see where they went. Look also outside, your own, where you are right now. For example, if you have friends or somebody that works in very interesting organization, it's really word of mouth sometimes what is going on in companies. When you reach like higher stages, you can start working with headhunters. So you have other people that they search jobs for you, but that's when you go to higher management jobs.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Stefania. That was a awesome talk and a discussion. Like I definitely learned a lot. Like it's probably one of my best talks I've seen. Like on like how to transition and like skills that is needed. So let me thank you again, and for everyone who's joining, a quick reminder about the election for the elections, not the elections, but like putting your name forward to be appointed to the committee. As Stefania said, it's a really good opportunity, and you will decide what happens in the next 3 years for the junior member community, right? So like you will be like leading the next 3 years and putting your vision to practice through that. So I think it'll be a really good opportunity for you to contribute to your fellow members and also to grow your CV as well and your leadership skills.
Yeah, in a CV that counts as a participation to shaping the strategy of IAU.
It's an interesting point.
Just writing it down, right?
Yeah. I would like to also remind everyone about our next event, which is on July 8th at 10 a.m. CEST or 8 a.m. UTC, which will be given by Dr. Thomas Mardi from the Swiss Library Service Platform on research project management from classic to agile methods. Be more like in project management aspect of things. And I think that's also one of the like important things that for your skill set. There's also some couch surfing happening. I don't know, Camilla, do you want to say something about it before we finish off?
Yeah, I keep receiving postcards from the logo. The logo is traveling couch surfing all around the globe. So once in a while, you keep like, you have a new photo on Instagram, on Twitter of the logo that is just like traveling all the world. And I'm so jealous because in this pandemic time, I cannot get on a plane and the guys and the logo is just like traveling all around. So guys, really, if you have the logo visiting you in your special place, just like tag us. You can check out like where it has like it went like before on Instagram and on Twitter. He was in Granada. He was in the Alps. So really, like if logo comes to see you, just take a picture and let us know where he is or send us a postcard because that's really important. So yeah, that was like it can travel. I don't know why, but anyway, seriously, like take up seriously the call for application for our election. It's not just about like shaping what was that like Stefania
strategy.
Shaping the strategy of the IAU, but it's also like you get to work with new people, you get to make new friends, and it's really like a really good example of teamwork because we all around the globe. Like Timia is in Australia, I'm here. Then we have other people like in the US, and it's really good for you guys. So we are really looking forward to your application. And
cool. On that note, thank you very much for joining, and see you next time.
Thanks, Stefania, again. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.